Kind of a weird post, but it just happened, so I want to know if I'm an idiot. I just left a job that I had for over 2 years. During that time I had come to like many of my coworkers, but I didn't consider them to be friends as, in my opinion, friends are people who you hang out with and are able to text, call out of the blue. I understand that my opinion of friend may not be the universal definition of friend, but I have used this definition in my life and I consider people who fit the above description friends. All others are coworkers and colleagues. So if I don't hang out or text you about non-work related things, then I am not your friend. On my last day at work, a former coworker of mine kept saying they would miss me and kept referring to me as their friend. I reminded them that while I enjoy their company at work, I don't consider us to be friends. They were confused as they thought we were. I reminded them that every time I asked them to hang out outside of work, they would say no and would give reasons that ranged from understandable to ones that were, well, obvious, that they didn't want to hang out with me. I soon realized that maybe we weren't going to be friends and that I had a coworker that was a colleague who I could talk to during work hours. I let them know that I only consider people my friend if I hang out with them outside of work. They tried to laugh it off as if I was not being serious. I told them I was serious and that I would consider them a coworker. They got upset and said that friends come in all different varieties and that we were friends because we had conversations at work. I politely informed them that while they might see that as a friendship, I did not. I saw us as coworkers. My coworker got quiet and didn't continue the conversation. They then called me an asshole for making them upset. I was confused as it was a cordial conversation. Am I the asshole for making my coworker upset that I didn't consider them a friend? Edit. I forget that sometimes I don't write out what I'm thinking. Just for clarification, the reason I said I did not see us as friends was because this person would go out and hang out with other people from the office and would tell me about it during lunch. Whenever I would ask to hang out, it would always be a polite, no thank you. And that is fine. That would make us just coworkers. Maybe I am being petty. Coincidentally, I also have friends that I hang out with outside of work from this job. You know, you don't always have to say what you think or know to be true if it's of no consequence. If you talk about non-work related things at work, is friend that much of a stretch? A good friend of mine was never able to hang out outside of work. We worked together for years but never saw each other outside of that 9-5. Turns out she had a controlling and abusive partner and our friendship at work was the only one she really had. If someone calls themselves overweight, do you have to correct them and say they're technically obese? Not really. Let some things slide. You're an idiot. Yeah, but it's still rude to tell someone point blank they aren't your friend when they call themselves your friend, especially in the context of them saying they will miss you. Even if this person did just like Opus more than Opus liked them, there's no reason to make them feel bad by pointing them out if they aren't pushing for more of a relationship than Opus wants. Except the coworker has specifically rejected friendly overtures by Opus in the past 2 years while going out with other coworkers. So what is that but a slap in the face? Then all hey, we're friends. Nope. You didn't want to be a friend. You don't get to pretend you were one. And I don't work with you any longer, so I no longer have to smile and go along to get along. TBH, this is where I am with an IRL person I know. I invite them to stuff, but they never want to go. Or they say they'll do something, then bail at the last minute. They never invite me to things. The only time we hang out is when a mutual friend invites both of us, or I run into them in town. I trust them, I care about them, but they don't want to put in any work for a real friendship. Not an idiot. So you made multiple attempts to hang out after work, and got every excuse in the book thrown at you, but you're an idiot for not considering her a friend. And then she gets to feel all good about herself being such a good friend after you've left. No way. I hope she feels bad. I absolutely hate fake people, and they deserve to be called out for it. None of this, you don't have to say what you're thinking, bull crap. Good on you, Opus. You are certainly not an idiot. You are completely wrong and did not understand the situation at all. Nobody is going to remember your extremely precise take on a common concept, friendship. But they will remember how rude you were completely out of the blue. Your coworker is probably wondering what on earth they did wrong to make you so upset at them. Depressingly, the answer is nothing. You got so caught up in your own head you seem to have forgotten the other person, who was simply trying to let you know they appreciated you and would miss you. Now they think you hate them, but you just hate. Inconsistent definitions, I guess. Perhaps being directly told someone insignificant to you likes and appreciates you made you uncomfortable and you lashed out. It's a bad look and you would do well to learn to control that behavior if you want to be respected. Just smile and say thanks next time. I don't know where you got all this wild information from, but where did Opus say they consider the coworker insignificant? Opus did nothing wrong correcting them that they weren't friends. The coworker would hang out with others but refuse any chance to hang out with Opus when offered. Sure, you can claim people are capable of making friends at work, but some people aren't themselves at work, and so I understand feeling as though you aren't friends with someone despite being friendly. If someone who had refused any offer to develop a friendship started claiming to be my good friend, I'd correct them as well because it simply isn't true, and whether it leaves a bad impression or not, who cares? Not an idiot for not considering her not a friend, but you could have just smiled and let it go. No reason really to tell her off, so that was a bit of a dick move. Can't believe I had to scroll all the way down to find this judgment. The You're an Idiot seemed to want Opus to allow the coworker to continue with the illusion of friendship, when, from Opus's point of view, there was none. Better the coworker to find out now instead of later when running to Opus and being all, my friend. And Opus being like, you, what? No one is saying they're the asshole for this part. Being an asshole is doubling down on insisting to them that they aren't friends in any way. It's just unnecessary. It's like when you run into someone on the street that you haven't seen in ages and they go, wow, great to see you. We should get coffee sometime. You both know it's probably never going to happen, but you can either say yeah, We should, and then go about your life never seeing them again, or you can say no. We shouldn't. We aren't actually friends and you get to go around as a truth-telling asshole. Light, you're an idiot. Opus, do you think you might be autistic? I'm autistic, and as soon as I read this I was like, aw damn. Social awareness wasn't there today. I say things like this sometimes, forgetting any emotional intelligence I have and sticking my foot in my mouth. Not because I'm thinking about the interaction, but because I need to be understood and how I think to be understood. I think that's what happened here. I don't think they're an asshole. I think they don't understand social niceties. To say that you're not a friend doesn't begin to cover it. Do you always burn every bridge into the ground before leaving a job? What was the purpose of saying such hurtful things to your colleague on your last day at the company? You're an idiot. Big idiot. What bridge? The coworker steadfastly refused to communicate or hang out with Opus outside work hours. They will likely never speak again. It sounds like the coworker used Opus as an office buddy but didn't actually like them and so refused to ever see them outside work. Does that sound like a friend to you? That would be like if my contacts from other countries that I see on video calls and joke with called me a friend. We are absolutely not friends, sure, but that coworker you hung out with during lunch could be the contact that gets you a great job 5 years from now, etc. That's the bridge. Not an idiot. They refuse to hang out with you outside of work. They chose to remain in the coworker-colleague category. I've found that people who try to establish a non-existent friendship when you're leaving a job are hoping to establish positive connections to further their own career, not actually have a friendship. I'm wondering if you repeatedly asked her to hang out as more than friends, and by declining she was saying she wasn't interested in that sort of relationship, but that didn't mean she didn't see him as a work friend. I got the vibe that he was being petty because she turned down his advances. Nice guy vibes in my opinion. As someone who has worked in government offices for a third of my time on this planet, I don't consider anyone I'm friendly with in the office a friend until we hang out outside of work. Friendliness is standard in all office interactions and doesn't hold much weight. It's a required part of my job to be friendly with everyone I interact with for fear of HR. I didn't see the genders of either party mentioned in this post, so I didn't presume a nice guy situation. But you could be right on that front. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for not giving my 10-year-old daughter my coloring book after the dog peed on hers? I always buy me and my daughter matching coloring books. This coloring book is huge and has a big unicorn poster in it. Well, my daughter left her book and her colors on her bedroom floor and her dog peed on the book, then chewed up the colors. Now my daughter is mad at me because I won't give her my coloring book. I told my daughter to pick up her things, but she didn't. I told my daughter to bring the pup outside, but she didn't. She also didn't have a potty pad down for the puppy, so the puppy did what she thought was right. Pot is on the big coloring book instead of the floor. Pup also chewed up daughter's colors. Daughter also wants the big unicorn poster that was with my book, but I put it up in my 2-year-old sister's room. My 10-year-old daughter is really fuming about this. Husband says I'm being a dick by not giving her my coloring book. I told him that I'm simply trying to teach my daughter that she can't always get what she wants and she needs to learn more responsibility when it comes to her things. I'm just trying to raise kids that aren't entitled or bratty. I want both of my girls to learn that they can't always get what they want, especially if it belongs to someone else, because life just doesn't work that way. Husband still thinks I'm being a slight asshole and my daughter thinks I'm a huge idiot. I'm scratching my head on this one. I need some more information. Why is so much of the dog's responsibility left for your daughter? We share responsibility. She begged for a new pup for about a year and we finally got her one for her birthday. She has an older dog, a 5-year-old Yorkie, that she takes great care of. Together, I taught my daughter how to housebreak, leash, walk and other things. After much talking, we broke down and got her a pup. All responsibility doesn't fall solely on her. It's a family pet and the family all puts into care for it. The pup does sleep in daughter's room. Daughter didn't put a potty pad down before bed and didn't pick up her coloring book, so the pup thought the massive coloring book was her potty pad. I am a firm believer in natural consequences, so I don't think you're wrong to say no to replacing the book. Ultimately, she is old enough to know that she needs to place down the pad, and leaving items out around a puppy is asking for trouble. You mentioned in another comment that she knows all this stuff but was too lazy to do it. But I do want to touch on a few things. 1. Puppies have small bladders and naturally just go more often than adult dogs. If the pup is sleeping in your daughter's room, is it being brought outside frequently enough? 2. Make sure you're rewarding her responsibility as much as letting her experience the consequences of her laziness. Maybe agree to a mother-daughter day or other reward once you all survive the potty training period. 3. Double check she has put out the potty pad before bed. At the end of the day, she's only 10 and still needs oversight. 2 seconds of your time can save a huge headache. An already trained dog is a big difference from a puppy that's still being trained. If it's a family pet, then the responsibility doesn't just fall on your 10-year-old. You need to be held responsible too. I get up throughout the night and let the dogs out. If one needs to go, they all need to go. The older ones know to scratch at the door, but I have a Yorkie that slaps me in the face to wake me up so they can go out. We do reward her with mom, daughter and dad, daughter days. As far as her putting the pup pad down, she made a list of her bedtime routine that she does every night, and the first thing she put on her list was to put the pup pad down. I guess I do need to start double checking. I have a 12-year-old son who does take care of our 2 dogs for the most part. We still have to give reminders to let them out or make sure the food and water dishes are filled. Puppy pads are the worst thing to use to train your dog. If you have a yard, just bring the dog out to do its business. When my son was 10, we had bred our female dog and she had puppies, and he had them all completely potty trained before they were 8 weeks, because he kept bringing them outside and they learned to go to the door when they needed to go out. In all honesty, I would replace the colors in the coloring book, but explain to her that yes, it was partially her fault that the dog peed on her book, but the puppy is everyone's responsibility. But she needs to remember to pick her stuff up because pups like to chew, and if it happens again, you will not replace what was messed up. Not an idiot. This is an appropriate natural consequence for her age. But since coloring together is a bonding activity, maybe give her a way to earn a new coloring book sooner through extra chores or something. I told her she'd have to save her money to get a new book. She cleaned her little sister's room yesterday and charged me $9. She's a hustler. YTA. Why is your 10-year-old responsible for a puppy? It's not her sole responsibility. It's a shared responsibility. But the thing she is responsible for doing, she didn't do because she just didn't want to. Okay, but if you have a puppy that pees in the house and tears things up, and you as an adult are not managing that behavior, do you see why this is beyond the scope of your 10-year-old's responsibilities? You have access to training, behavior, and management information that your daughter doesn't. Accidents happen and stuff gets ruined, but the puppy is learning not to pee in the house. You wouldn't leave a 10-year-old responsible for teaching a younger child potty training. Not an idiot. Your husband should support you on this. Maybe he's an idiot. It's not like you're flaunting it in front of the 10-year-old. And I'm sure at some point, after she's learned her lesson, you'll get her another one. But you are right to try and teach her there are lessons and to be accountable for her actions. YTA. It doesn't sound like parenting. It sounds like a conflict between two 10-year-olds, and your comments only make it worse. You are very set on making your daughter, who is a kid, suffer just to prove your point instead of showing her empathy. Don't get where all these NTA are coming from. I did show empathy and sympathy. I'm not cold-hearted. I know she was sad that her book was ruined. I was sad it was ruined because that's something we did together. She's suffering because she's pissed that I refused to give in to her, demanding that I give her my book. I'm not giving it to her. She didn't ask to share it. She didn't ask to color a page with me. I wouldn't have minded that at all. She demanded that I give her my book since hers was ruined. It seems from the comments that your daughter is very responsible for the 10yo and has a lot of chores that she is quite good with. But even adults make mistakes and mess up. I believe it has a bigger effect to remind us about responsibilities by sharing sad emotions with a kid and helping to deal with them. If you discuss it and she acknowledges that demanding is not a good way of communication, I would give her the coloring book. Not the idiot. This is good parenting. 10 is old enough to learn and understand that if you want something nice, take care of it, and that if it is lost, ruined, broken through your own fault, that it will not simply be replaced. First, you are the adult. It doesn't matter how much a kid begs. If you say no dog, it's final. Every child that begs for a puppy promises to take care of it, then doesn't. As an adult, you know this very well. The consequence is that the dog peed and ruined her things. She learned. Is this a $1,000 coloring book? Are you extremely poor and can barely afford food? If not, then give her the damn book. She already learned about consequences. Now teach her about empathy and sharing. Right now you are teaching her about being nasty, inflexible, and selfish to others. Bravo. If you were my mother, and for reference I am in my 60s, I would lose all respect for you for being supremely childish, petulant, and mean over some dumb coloring book. Good job ruining coloring, the dog, and your relationship with her. This is Reddit that hates children with the heat of 10,000 suns and tells couples to split over the smallest peccadillo, so I'll be downvoted to hell. But remember this 10 and 20 years down the road. You are a ridiculous person. Now go back to coloring unicorns and enjoy your loneliness. She did learn